have no idea what I'm doing or how to start this video. Maybe I should start with a joke. What happens when you eat too much pumpkin? You get what? That's hilarious. Okay, what happens when you eat too much pumpkin? You get a tummy ache. Why does the farmer keep gazing at his pumpkin patch? Because it's gorgeous. What do you get when you drop a pumpkin? Squash. What's a pumpkin's favorite genre? Pulp fiction. Where do pumpkins live? In the seedy part of town. What does a queasy pumpkin say? I don't feel so gourd. Who helps the little pumpkins cross the road? The crossing gourd. Okay, these are terrible. Maybe I'll come back to this later. Anyway, last week all right. Last week I talked about how I was going to dwell deliberately in the season of fall and not get swept up into the Christmas chaos too early. This week I'm I still can't. All right. This week I'm I still can't. Okay. This week, I'm focusing on delighting deeply. Oh my goodness. Oh. All right. I'm too old for this kneeling down stuff. I made myself cry. I'm so stupid. Okay. All right. This week, I'm delighting deeply in the season of fall by making my own homemade pumpkin puree and turning it into, from scratch, Aunt Carol's pumpkin bread. And there's nothing more delightful or fallish than that. I've told you guys before, fall is my favorite season. And I am so excited because it's time for pumpkin bread. Specifically, my Aunt Carol's pumpkin bread. It's my favorite, and every year I make tons of it for my daughters and I to enjoy. My husband, he doesn't care for it, but he has no taste. This year, I am trying an experiment and I'm very nervous, but I'm also very excited because I grew my own pumpkins. These are baby bear pumpkins. I was actually successful this year for the first time ever in growing pumpkins. So I'm going to try to make my own pumpkin puree. And then I also am stealing the white pumpkin off my front porch, and I'm gonna try that just to see, because when I picked it up at the store, it said you could use it for making pumpkin pies and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. I went online and I did some research. I have my sticky notes with my instructions. It's kind of sketchy. We'll see how it goes. I'm home alone today for the first time in, goodness, I don't know. And how do I choose to spend my mom home alone time? Making pumpkin puree. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Nope, my knife is not as sharp as it looks. And no, cutting a pumpkin is definitely not as easy as it looks here. I learned 3 very important lessons while making my pumpkin puree. I learned that I really need to learn how to sharpen my kitchen knives better or buy some new ones. I got so frustrated with how my knives were working. Verdict? Not part of the job? Super slimy and gross. Kind of fun, but wow, really grody. What's next? Peel? Ugh. I learned to appreciate the convenience of just grabbing a can of pumpkin from the shelf at any time. Making your own pumpkin puree is a lot of work. So being able to just walk into the pantry or make a quick run to the grocery store to grab some pumpkin puree is an amazing blessing. All right, my pumpkin is all chopped up. It took forever, but you'll be happy to know I am safe and sound, did not chop my fingers off, which is questionable for me. But it's all ready to go. Now I'm supposed to add the water and then boil it on the stove for a long time. I'll link the website in the video description below so that you can see for yourself how to make pumpkin puree. But it's not the fault of the website, it's my fault if it doesn't turn out. I'm a newbie at this. Oh yeah, that's definitely done. And I learned that while it is a lot of work and does take a significant amount of time, I still really enjoyed this challenge and I was super proud of myself. I need to take on more projects like this. I can't wait to find new uses for all of the extra packages of pumpkin puree that I'm going to have hidden away in my freezer. Finding some fun new recipes to try and knowing that it came straight from my garden and I did it all by myself is going to be very rewarding later this winter. I couldn't resist. What did the pumpkin say when he was asked how he was feeling? I'm fine, thanks for asking. What day of the week do pumpkins dread the most? Squasher day. The time is finally here. It is Saturday morning. I am in the kitchen alone. I apologize if you can hear my neighbor mowing their lawn, but these things happen when you live in a neighborhood. I'm going to bake my pumpkin bread. So excited. Okay, I have our family cookbook, which is really just a photo album, but I went through a lot of years ago with my sister, and we wrote down a bunch of family recipes, and one of them is my Aunt Carol's pumpkin bread. I have so many memories of my Aunt Carol, and one of them is her pumpkin bread that she made using these giant coffee tins. Like, I don't know how many pounds of coffee would come in these cans, but she would cut off the lid of these cans and turn them into basically pans that she would bake her pumpkin bread in. So it would come out round and cylindrical, and it was the coolest thing and so moist and delicious. So I just have made this pumpkin bread ever since I got the recipe, and I love it. I'll be making this recipe today 2 different ways. The first way is the traditional way, using canned pumpkin that you get at the store. And this is how I've always made it. So I'm pretty sure that way is gonna work because it's 100% success rate for me. And the second way I'm gonna try is with the pureed pumpkin that I made the other day. Not sure I'm gonna have 100% success rate with this. It does taste like pumpkin. I did try some, and it looks like pumpkin, although I think the texture is a little thinner, a little more watery, soupy maybe. Although it has thickened up since it's been in the fridge. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous, and as I've said many times before on this channel, I am not a master chef. I am not a certified chef. I wouldn't even say I'm a pro home cook. I wouldn't even say I'm a person who likes to cook. I'm just experimenting and trying to enjoy every moment of every day. And part of that is finding ways to make cooking more fun, since it's a household chore that I personally can't stand. So pureeing my own pumpkin and making wonderful family recipes is a way that I'm trying to do that. So let's get into it. While I make pumpkin bread every single year at this time of the year, I still learned 3 very important lessons. I learned that I really need to do a better job of staying on top of keeping my oven clean. I finally gave up on the hand scrumming method. All right, the oven is finally clean enough that I feel like I can bake my pumpkin bread in it. I'll have to run the self-cleaning function later. I have given up. I am hot. It's enough. Turns out this new oven is a beast, and the self-cleaning function works amazingly well. Good to know for the future. I learned to be brave and try something new, even if you're not sure how it's going to turn out. This experiment of making my own pumpkin puree and then using it in my Aunt Carol's recipe was very rewarding. I have my 2 dry mixes ready, and now it's time to do the fun part and add all of the soupy stuff. I've still got to grease the pans, which is kind of icky, and then I'm ready to pour it all in there and get it popped in the oven. I learned that it's important to engage in hands-on activities that remind us of happy memories and loved ones for our mental health. In making my pumpkin bread and my pumpkin puree, I was surrounded by happy memories and by things that just brought me so much joy. Every time I thought of another pumpkin joke or a pumpkin pun, I was reminded of fun times with my sister Holly, who loves to pull out the dad jokes and the bad puns. These pans are super special to me. They are from my Grandma Angie, who is my mother's mother. She had her own bakery, and she used to bake the best bread. It was so amazing. And somehow I was lucky enough to get my hands on these. And I just love the pattern in them. I don't know how old they are, but when the pumpkin bread turns out just right, you can see this pattern in the outside edges of the pumpkin bread, and it just looks so cool. Looking at the recipe book reminded me of hours spent scrapbooking with my sister Melody and the time that we spent creating our family cookbook. Not to mention, just baking the pumpkin bread reminded me so much of how much I love my Aunt Carol, who I don't get to see often enough. And my Grandma Angie, who's gone now, but whose pans I pull out of my cabinets every year, and I'm just filled with memories of her and her bakery. Okay, I have 2 observations about the homemade pumpkin puree pumpkin bread batter, I guess you call it. It looks like a banana bread batter, except much soupier, which pumpkin bread batter is supposed to be soupy. This is a little soupier than it's normally supposed to be, in my experience. Very light, but the pumpkin color was very, very light. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I don't know. The measurements are all the same. We'll see what happens. And cleaning up at the end always brings my sister Melissa to mind, because both of us hate to cook, and so we are always first to sign up for dishwashing duty. Sometimes life is difficult, and we get frustrated, and it's dark and discouraging, and we're filled with despair. And at those times, for me personally, it really helps to do something that keeps my hands busy and surround myself with happy, joyful memories from times past. To do something that makes me focus my thoughts in a different direction. Philippians 4:18 tells us, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." And if I'm honest, controlling my thoughts and thinking about things that are admirable and excellent and praiseworthy is not easy when I'm in the pit of despair or when I'm really struggling with a bout of depression. It's not easy to take control of my thoughts and make them go where I want them to go. So choosing to engage in activities that keep my hands busy and be surrounded by things that trigger happy memories, to not allow myself to sit on the couch, to not allow myself to lay in the bed, to not allow myself to stay in those places where it's easy to just wallow, I guess is a good word, in my discouragement and depression. Anyway, it works for me, so I thought I'd share the idea and see if maybe it would work for you. I hope in this month of November, as we finish out this month, there's not a lot of time left. I hope you can delight deeply in some fun, happy memories as you celebrate this last little bit of fall. Life has finally settled down enough that I get to actually try my pumpkin bread. So I'm going to try the one made with my special pumpkin puree first, which my husband said, try mine first because it's going to be amazing. You know you're going to love it. We'll see. And then I'll compare that with the one that's my Aunt Carol's traditional recipe with the canned pumpkin. So let's see what happens here. I was afraid it would taste squashy instead of pumpkin-y. But it's really good. It's very pumpkin-y, nice and moist. I don't think I would know that this one was made with my homemade pumpkin puree if I hadn't done it myself. The only other difference is that this one has olive oil instead of the regular cooking oil that I use. No, it's good. All right, let's see how it compares to the original. The homemade one is definitely, they're both homemade, but the pumpkin puree is definitely lighter because it's made with the white pumpkin. So this has a much more orangey, yellowy texture or color. Texture's the same, flavor's the same. I'm very happy. I think the only real difference is the color. It tastes like Aunt Carol's pumpkin bread. I did it. It turned out I actually did it. I grew my own pumpkins and I made my own pumpkin puree, and then I made my Aunt Carol's pumpkin bread. When I say I made it from scratch this year, I really made it from scratch. That's awesome. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it encouraging. If you did, make sure to bop the like button so that YouTube can share it with others. What did the pumpkin say after Thanksgiving? Good pie, everyone.